Good afternoon and happy Wednesday, folks. In today's Lions video, we're talking about the latest Lions news, and it's sponsored by Prize Picks. NFL's top 10 wide receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown climbs rankings. Jameson Williams gets some love. Super Bowl champion reveals why Dan Campbell is now under pressure for the Detroit Lions. Lions news, rookie Skyler Gill-Howard shows off athleticism. We'll get into that one. Lions expected to part ways with fan-favorite wide receiver in difficult decision. And lastly, we're going to get into what was Detroit Lions' most underrated free agent signing. My name is Mike Kimber with Lions Talk by Chat Sports, and I drop Lions news on a daily. If that interests you, I'd ask that you go ahead and hit that good old red subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get into today's Lions news. ESPN series has been going on about the top 10, and Amon-Ra St. Brown climbs to number 5 in their rankings. Anonymous general manager says, savvy, snack for getting open, plays faster than his time speed. Anonymous NFL coordinator told ESPN he's putting continuous stress on even when you know he's not going vertical. He is unique way of working leverage. Strong as hell, can separate at the point, and shifty. Plays if he's being disrespected at all times, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's always playing like he is disrespected. So he comes in at number 5, and to be honest with you, I think that's a fine number where he is being at. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown are in there as well. So that's a good spot for him. Number 5. If you want to put him at 4, that's perfectly fine, right? And for me, that's a decent spot. We got this guy in round 4. He ended up being one of the best players for us, and it's great. For Jameson Williams, he didn't crack the 10, but he was among 6 receivers who received honorable mentions. And this is what anonymous general manager said about him. Says he can fly, and it's slippery. His speed opens up intermediate cuts, getting in and out of breaks. It's not natural for him, but he's improved there. Goes across the field, used all 53 yards. Hands aren't as consistent. Good player. Really good players. The Lions got a great wide receiver room, and that's just a fact, right? We got a lot of players in this room that I think could make a big impact for other teams. All of them. That's pretty good. So I got a question for you. Rank Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver. 1, if you think he's the best. Give me your thoughts in the comments. Super Bowl champion reveals why Dan Campbell is now under pressure for this season. And Mark Schlereth, who I respect a lot, this is what he has to say. He says, there's no question that the pressure is on Dan Campbell. I still think they're one of the most talented rosters in football. I think Jared Goff is a top 5 or 6 quarterback in the NFL. I think Penei Sewell is one of the most talented, if not most talented, offensive linemen in football. When you talk about Campbell about it, he'll tell you, not only is the most talented lineman, but he's the most talented football player on the team. He continue on. He says, you got Jameson Williams, a wide receiver. You talk about Jahmyr Gibbs as a running back. Talk about the tight end and what they have done at the offensive weapons. Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the best receivers in football, does the dirty work, the tough, and sets the tone. Reminds me back the day when they set the tone with wide receiver Steve Smith. Hines Ward set the toughness tone for Pittsburgh. Steelers get down, do the dirty work, make tough catches inside, set up key blocks, so you got offensive weaponry. And he is correct. I love the comparisons between Steve Smith and Hines Ward for St. Brown. That's a great comparison. That's kind of exactly who he reminds me of, or those receivers remind me of. Yes, there's pressure on Dan Campbell, no doubt about it. Do I think that it's immense pressure? No, I don't think that this guy is going to lose his job or anything of that nature, even if we don't make the playoffs. But yeah, the pressure is on there. We got a talented roster. We just need help on defense in regards to talent. But yeah, there's pressure, but not immense pressure. I'm not going to say it's crazy pressure. We have had 3 straight years of winning records, damn near 4 straight. This team is always winning, and when you're winning and you haven't won in many, many years because of the issues with bad coaches in the past and inability to acquire talent with bad GMs, I think he's fine. Yes, there's pressure, though. Shout out to the sponsor of today's video. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. MLB is taking place right now. The NFL is right around the corner, and it's time to cash in with Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports pick app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy to use. Just pick more or less than a few player stats and lock in your lineup for the NFL this year. I have Kenyon Sadiq getting more than 449.5 receiving yards. I have Jordan Tyson getting more than 4.5 touchdowns. And Caleb Downs getting more than 1.5 interceptions. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends, copy the lineup with a single click. That includes myself, MicroMike85, and the rest of the folks at Chat Sports. You can follow us, tailor picks, or fade, and get picks before they even get posted on the show. New user offer. Download the Prize Picks app today with the link in the comments and in the description. Use code HMAY to get $50 in your lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HMAY to get $50 in your lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. I think there's more pressure on Brad Holmes probably than Dan Campbell, in my opinion, in regards to the roster buildup and players and the defense. That's kind of where I'd go there. But I think that there is pressure, just not that much. Definitely not what Rob Parker thinks, anywhere of that nature. But how much pressure do you think that Dan Campbell is under? 1 equals not much. 100 means a lot. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's continue on here. Lions' new rookie, Skyler Gill-Howard, shows off athleticism. You got to check it out on IG. This is his athleticism there. I can't post the video because the video will give me copywritten, but it just shows how athletic he is. And this is a point that they got a lot of players that can be multi-dimensional, and that's why they're always picking that in the defensive line. That's one of their things, and they actually love that, and getting players who can play edge and interior, and you got to be athletic to do stuff like that. And Skyler Gill-Howard is a tweener. It'll be interesting to see if he makes the roster. You know, he can be showing off all his athleticism all he wants, and that's awesome. But we need players to make plays on the field, and we got a lot of people on that defensive line. And if you're a late draft pick, it's going to be a little bit tough right now. But I like seeing that showing off. I like to see that his attitude is up, and he's got ability to that frame. That's all good and great, right? So there's nothing really wrong to say right there. Just we'll see if he can translate that onto the practice field, translate onto Ford Field and other fields in preseason. And if he beats all that, we'll see if it can translate into a roster spot on the 53-man roster. If not, most likely what's going to happen with him is he's going to be put on the practice squad. Now, Mike Payton, my guy who I listen to, he says, Lions expected to part ways with fan favorite in a difficult summer decision. Now part ways to make the 53-man roster. That's what Mike Payton's saying here. He says, I know that sounds crazy. I just can't find a spot for the 5th guy, Payton wrote. Tom Kennedy is probably a practice squad player. Malik Cunningham has some appeal with the trick play potential given his quarterback background, but I don't see it. Dominic Lovett's a good gunner. But when Detroit drafted Kendrick Law, felt like Lovett was out. Cedric Wilson got some good reps during OTAs and minicamp. He could sneak on. None of the new UFL guys are making it in my projection. I agree with him a lot of what he says here. No, I don't believe that Tom Kennedy makes the 53-man roster. That's just would be really difficult for me to believe, considering the fact that he never makes it. Will he make the practice squad? Yes. That's his destination, is the practice squad, and that's not bad. The practice squad in 2026 and 2025 and 2024 is now like the 53-man roster. It really is. The only difference is you don't get paid as much, and you may not get as much reps. But guess what? A lot of backups don't even get reps. So, to me, yeah, he's not making the 53-man roster, but he makes the team. Maybe there should be a new format how we do this. You don't make the 53-man roster, but you can make the team, because the practice squad gets utilized a lot, especially if you're a fan of the Detroit Lions, because their team's always injured. But it's not that big of a deal if he doesn't make the 53. The 53 is not as what it used to be. It's just not, because all the guys that we talk about who's going to make the cut, he's a cut candidate, this, that, they just end up going to the practice squad and on the team anyways. So what does it matter? So will Tom Kennedy make the 53-man roster? Y for yes and N for no. Give me thoughts in the comments. Now, this is more of a question and a conversation here. What was Detroit Lions' most underrated free agent signing? And I wanted you guys to give that a thought before I reveal mine. Who is your underrated free agent? Because mine here is Greg Dortch. Entering 2026, Greg Dortch is projected as the Lions wide receiver 4 behind St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Tesla. He's heavily expected to be the primary punt and kick returner, and I think that's what makes him underrated. He's going to be used on special teams, going to be used at wide receiver, and that's going to make a huge impact. Remember, Khalif Raymond was a huge impact for the Lions when we got him. Small, compact, Swiss Army knife. Utilize him a lot. And I think Greg Dortch is a younger, faster, more explosive player than Khalif Raymond. And I love Leaf. I've always talked about Leaf as the most underrated player on the team. Now I think this is going to go to Greg Dortch, especially if you're just talking about free agent underrated. Oh, yeah, most definitely. Cade Mays, he got the big contract, so he'll get love there. Right, we got Larry Borum. He got a nice little one-year deal, so I don't think that makes him underrated, and he'll be a backup. Greg Dortch, he didn't get paid nothing. We don't talk about him a lot, and he's going to be utilized on offense, and he's going to be utilized on special teams. So to me, that throws him in position as an underrated player for our Detroit Lions. I'm really excited to see him play. I love the Swiss Army knife, the utilized players that they have, those tiny players that they get in there. You just want to cram anywhere and put them on the field and make big-time plays. Those type of guys, the back end of the roster, you don't talk about them enough. I love hearing their story and see what they do. So this one is a player that I'm watching this year, so I'm excited. So give me a player who is your underrated free agent. Adios.